Good evening and welcome to the first of the Foundry sessions. It's a series of sessions we're going to be running from our office in London. And as you can see, some people stuck around for some beers afterwards. So we've got some really lovely stuff to show you tonight. We're focusing on tonight's session for the collectives. We've got Mike Griggs, aka Creative Bloke, who's come up from Devon to see us today. And we've also got the lovely Boyo from Post Office, who's popped over from Amsterdam as well to show what they're getting up to and how they're thinking about using the production collective. We'd love for you to interact with us tonight. The hashtag for tonight is TF Sessions. We've got three lovely ladies who are manning the Twitter feed and the Facebook feed as well. Shout out, let us know where you are, where you're watching this, any questions that you have, any comments that you want to make. Please send them through. We'll be reading a few of them throughout the next hour. We're going to jump to the show reel now just to make ourselves a little bit more organised. So we'll see you in 2 minutes and 57 seconds.
Great stuff, some of which you might see more of later tonight, I think. I'm Matt Pleck, Senior Product Designer for the Foundry, and it is my pleasure to be on the Fab Foundry sofa here tonight, working with our guests and showing you some cool stuff, we hope. Mike Griggs is here. Mike is freelance, graphic, VFX, a bit of everything that involves computers and pictures.
Yeah.
Writes for 3D World magazine and others, Creative Block.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen his tutorials and his reviews, so it's great to have his perspective tonight, especially because the topic, the first thing we're going to start off with is the Creation Collective, which is Modo, Mari, and Hero Player. And Mike, you know, we just introduced these relatively recently, and Mike, you were working with Modo and Mari for a bit of a while now. So this is a great way. Mike is exactly the kind of person we were thinking of when we created this package. So I guess I should maybe let you say a little bit. Let you get a word in edgewise.
No, that's great. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I'd like to start with a confession. I was using Modo since version 201, which came out in 206. I know, that shows my age. But I sold it. I sold Modo because I was under some mistaken belief that I could concentrate on one 3D application that would solve all my problems. And so I bought a license of Cinema 4D. What I then very quickly realized is that there is no such thing as one perfect 3D application. And that I would keep on going back and borrowing copies of from Modo from other people because there was a little thing that I needed or a UV texture that I needed to work on, and therefore I decided at 701 to bite the bullet again happily and bring Modo back into the fold. One of the reasons for that is that Modo and now all the Foundry products have this real lightness of touch. They allow you to get straight in on the object, either whether you're polygonal modeling, applications like Nuke, just let you get straight into the composite. And with Modo especially, the fact that there are ways of cataloging and listing things like n-gons, so that you can get rid of n-gons with.
You got the kind of smooth connection to the other application we were talking about earlier. Some of the kind of it's like you said, light touch of getting data out and into other applications that isn't maybe quite so clean, I guess, was what you were
because with the kind of best practice methodology that you have, then you know it'll go into Cinema. You know you can export and give it to a client that will be used in Maya. And so that's fantastic. And applications like Nuke were also how I learned about an OpenEXR workflow and
linear color spaces and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, because other applications just aren't as quick and immediate to get you into that. The other thing that's exciting is the fact that since the merger between the Modo and the Luxology and the Foundry, plugin development has really accelerated. We've got HDR Light Studio, we now have Substance Designer, Octane's just arrived, and then there's Mesh Fusion as well. Want to show a project where HDR Light Studio especially works really well in conjunction with Modo. So, yeah. non-design led, and that'll come with a little post-it note of "we want this," and then I go away and come up with images and go, "Is this what you meant?" And they'll usually go, "No," and then so the process of iteration.
So it has to be fast.
Yeah.
So with this Oasis Mango job, you had, in this case, it wasn't a post-it note; it was something very specific you had to match, wasn't it?
Yeah. With this client, this job was for a HD display which went up in the middle of the Thames in front of the London Eye. The display was about the size of a truck.
People were going to see it.
Yeah. So it had to be completely on brand and the brief was to build a bottle because we didn't have any 3D assets, so I had to generate a 3D asset of the bottle. So I was going to use Modo, but at the time it was going to be lighting it to match the existing artwork was going to be not problematic, because with live preview in Modo you would get there, but it was just matching it and making sure the subsurface scattering through on the liquid, etc., was all going to work.
Right, because it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
People are going to notice if it doesn't look
Yeah,
quite
exactly.
right.
But thanks to HDR Light Studio and the way that that ties into Modo, I was able to light very, very quickly, and because it's image-based lighting, it's much quicker to render, it's much more consistent, and the fact that you can interact directly between the GL view in Modo and back into HDR Light Studio and adjust the lights, and you're getting full interactive playback actually means that I feel that HDR Light Studio is better in Modo as a plugin than it probably is as a standalone, because you're then also getting the ability to then generate your mesh with all your textures, which you can't necessarily do in the standalone application of HDR.
Right, and then you're live in there, so any tweaks you're making on other aspects of the project are going to show up.
No, so I sort of mentally budgeted 2 days for this job. Took me an afternoon. So it was just like, wow.
Can we get an oh from the audience here? Come on. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And you charge a few days.
Speaking of speeding things up.
Yeah, exactly. Mesh Fusion for Modo is amazing. Just because it allows you this ability to either work just with shapes, and so you're just not thinking about, is this going to be correct, is this going to be a polygonal structure when I put this, bisect the sphere out of a square, is it going to be right?
Or my polygon's going to get, am I going to make a mess of things?
Yeah, all of those kind of things that you're kind of, may not be important at that stage of the process, but you know will come back and bite you later on. And Mesh Fusion changes all of that for the better. It gives you a model that you can use, it's airtight, so it can go into 3D printing, and it can, and also therefore you've got the basis that you know that the model will work again if it needs to go to another application.
Right, and I guess you're thinking about shapes more than like technique too. Is you're not like I've got to get this curve right so that I can then bevel this and extrude this and wrap this around.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just working with shapes against each other.
Yeah, and
more the way you think about the actual object.
The other thing that's really nice about it is the fact that I always found it quite hard to get into the schematic view, and that's with the previous release of 701 and now into 801, the schematics now are everywhere, which is great. So you can choose to do Mesh Fusion either in this way, where we see the tree, or you can just do it via the schematic view, which actually, when you're doing more complex things, is a lot quicker. So from this, then this was generated for 3D World magazine, and then lit with HDR Light Studio. You know, quite a complex modeling thing project that would have taken you quite a long time to get all the angles right. You can get an approximation of a good shape within a couple of hours, and then 10 minutes to light it in HDR Light Studio, hit render, and yeah, you can go to bed at a normal time.
Yeah, with HDR Light Studio, then you can kind of you can, if you want the spec here, like you're more directly getting what you want. Yeah, it's really cool. Looks great.
The other thing that's really great with Modo is the library of assets that comes with the application. There are a huge range of material presets and 3D meshes, and also now more assemblies, so that if you are, like myself, find it a bit hard to get into the schematic view, there are ways of just sort of laying down the base that you can then...
And then go from there.
Yeah.
Cool.
And also assets such as the layer that allows you to put a ground plane that only generates the shadows, which is great for projection into live plates and stills, which I'll look at a bit more. The other thing that I don't know that's that well known about is the assets online, which are a bunch of Modo users basically put things up onto the Foundry website. And they're little LXP packages that can be just downloaded and loaded straight into Modo. And so they just work as another asset. And some of those are invaluable. This car shot was generated completely from an asset within Modo. And again, very quick turnaround, about an hour, to generate this it was for a tutorial for 3D World, just to show how the particle system works in Modo.
All right, so if you're trying to mock up a concept really quickly, you can just grab some assets and dive right in.
Yeah, and again, it's like, what looks cool? A racing car and lots of blocks. Oh, there's a racing car in Modo, so I know I can do this and get on with it really quickly. The other really great thing is that the schematic view in this starts to become more logical rather than the object list, so you can start to see your simulation happen. And the caching with Modo of the particles is great, because you can, once you've cached the particles, you can then art direct them and pull them apart and sculpt them, which is lovely. For that kind of shot.
To kind of sculpt it so you're not just at the mercy of the sim. Which is kind of hard
and
if you're trying to turn stuff around fast.
Yeah, it's really quick. I mean, for a couple of hundred, I think there's about 300,000 particles in this. And it was like, fine, tweak this, bish bosh bash, and
cool.
So this is the asset website, which, if you don't know about it, really check it out. There's assets like this silhouette pack, and it's not just the one of the lady. There's about 50 different silhouettes in here. And then there's families, there's kids, there's, it's just, and I use this all the time, and it's completely free, and it's just the goodness of the Modo community to just share these assets. Oh, this was handy. And then it just loads straight into Modo. It's brilliant. Cool. The other thing that probably most people know Modo about is the render toolset, which with the live preview is really brilliant for photogrammetry. I said that right.
Even with the accent.
I know, too many R's. The fact that this shot, I think, was taken, may have been on an iPhone, and I had to create the slide, and then there's some scaffolding at the front, which was being decked in large format graphics. So knowing that the sensor size of an iPhone is X by Y, which I can't remember right now, Modo is one of the few applications where you can actually just enter the camera data.
In real camera numbers, like millimeters.
And so that's fantastic. And then you can figure out how tall the person was and then project it so that you can get lined up. The other thing with that is that then, once you've got it lined up, you can then use that as a basis for UVs and projection mapping, and then baking that out so that you can then edit textures. So for this, I had to do some cleanup on the front facade. So just UV, simple box, and then out into Photoshop at the time, because I didn't have Mari then.
Oh, shame on that.
I know. To just tidy up the texture and then re-import that in. Again, the wonderful thing with the live preview, which has grown and grown and grown, we can now render directly out the live preview with progressive renderer, set the amount of time that you have, is the ability that you can set your passes to be whatever you want. So you can create alphas for specific objects, as well as an overarching one, and give it logical names, which you can then access in the live preview, so that you can see what you're going to get before you render.
Right. Yeah.
And so you get AO. And there's been many jobs where I've just taken a grab from live preview and just put that to a client rather than waiting for a render.
Just to get a reaction. Are you on the right track? That sort of thing. Yeah. Cool.
And so the amount of time saving that can. And the other thing is with render passes now, the ability to give one model scene, have separate textures and separate lighting and objects on and off and this going on, and then you can set that to just render out as one session, so that at the end you can give 3 different looks out to a client from one model, and just from the one setup. This next slide is, I did this back in the day, way before render passes happened, but this is a good example of how powerful the shader tree is in Modo, because there's one underlying car model in this, and then there's single textures for the tires and the underlying composites for the materials. But each one, the other 3, there's one master model and 3 instances, and then each one of those has its own separate UV controller, UV texture, which then can be applied at an artist level. So I want this car to have this texture, and if you make any changes to the underlying texture, that will then read across all your instances.
Right, so if you get like you need to tweak the white to be a little bit more bluish or something, that would apply to everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but then you've still got individual decals and stuff that apply to the instances without...
Yeah, and the new changes with Modo 801 with the nodal texture running across makes this work, which was already fairly straightforward, just a breeze. I mean, it's so much easier now in 801. So, I've only been using Mari for about the past 6 months, but already have found that it changes the way that you texture and makes the texturing work that you do better, which for somebody like me who's usually time constrained, and you would have always thought that painting textures was going to be a laborious because you're a general.
Paint as little texture as you can and do it all procedurally and other things like that.
So this globe is a good example where I've been generating a procedural texture in Cinema 4D, and it was hard to iterate to what the client wanted. It's not
to control it properly.
Yeah, there's not enough dirt here, or there's too much dirt there, and you wouldn't know that until you'd been through render time. But with Mari, I made the decision of just building up the textures gradually, and it was just to see if it would benefit the my workflow.
So you do the procedurals in the Mari side now? Yeah,
you can do. Like got oil, which you can use for just generating dirt, which is great, and then you can then hand paint in the masks and then bring that up and down. The other great thing is that then that one procedural can then be carried across into different channels. Okay. And so this idea then again of one channel controls other things, etc. And so I was working, this was a 16K textures because we had to zoom in and out on the globe. Yeah. And the render time dropped by a factor of 5 because I went through Mari rather than relying just on Cinema.
So what made the big difference?
Just the fact, as far as Cinema was concerned, it was just loading in big textures and just straight out.
It wasn't a complex shader.
No, it wasn't having to. Cinema wasn't having to think.
Right.
Which sometimes it can slow down on. It was just, and then you would go back to Mari, and the way that if a client came in and said, "Oh, I need a bit more blue," you would just go down to a solid in Mari and just tweak it slightly, export it out, iterate, reopen Cinema, and it just loads in the new.
Right, and then you've got a faster render because you're not
and it's
processing
reliable
a ton of shader complexity.
Yeah, so because the render load is a lot less on the machine, and so it's
kind of a switch because normally it's all about trying to get everything over to the other side to keep it live, but in that has a cost too. So this way you've got it one step removed live.
Exactly, and also you get a sense of being more of an artist with this, with using a Mari workflow, because you're actually going in and going, ooh, I'll paint this.
Yeah.
And so the creative...
Right, as opposed to being back in Photoshop thinking through the projection where it's
going, does 0.6 on this shader in Cinema mean that it's going to be too dirty or not dirty enough? And so you can actually just get in and at it, which was lovely. And then being able to work in... Oh, gone the wrong way. Work into the different channels as well. And so that you can start to see that in this... the oil on the ocean and just this little level of detail, which normally you would have thought, well, or rather before Mari, there's kind of a BM and AM now, before Mari and after Mari, that you get this lovely kind of gradual texture work.
I guess you can control the bit depth too, so if you're getting banding and everything, you can kind of, like in that subtle kind of, in the push in there.
And it makes me look a lot more talented than I actually am, so it's a winner. Yeah. And so the one thing that is in the Creation Collective, which I hadn't had a chance to use, was Hero Player. And I'm kind of sorry that I hadn't been aware of it, really. There's the job that I'm working on at the moment is a Cinema and After Effects job, and we're having to, it's pure 3D, and it's working in an OpenEXR workflow, and we're doing shot reviews in After Effects, and I'm having to get everything into AE, and then it goes out to comp. And so when you're setting up your object buffers to make sure the right bit's matted, or is your reflection pass actually useful in this specific shot because you're working from templates, it's good to have a review tool that isn't very slow. Unfortunately, at the moment, After Effects working with the XR is very slow just because of that specific setup. I tried one of the more complex shots in Hero Player, and it was just there. And the thumbnail for each one of the passes, and I was able to review and then just drop it in, boost up the levels to make sure that everything was okay, and say, oh, maybe 3 stops down is going to make the render look better. And in the time it took After Effects to open, I was already reviewing shots in Hero Player.
No,
so I was just like,
well, that's good. Yeah. Pop right out of your renders. Make sure you've got the right thing before you spend time.
And then there's the versioning as well, and again, that'll probably make me a better artist because I'll be able to go, and where is this shot that was there
check
2 weeks ago, and also gives you a bit more control when clients want to speak to you about, oh, I liked the globe from 3 weeks ago. Right. Why did you like the globe from 3 weeks ago?
Which one was it? Let's tick back through.
The blue one or the brown one? So no, Hero Player is
cool. It'd be interesting to see how that changes your work. Yeah, cool.
So looking to the future, personally, I'm very interested in the whole range of the Foundry products moving up to Production Collective. But the thing that, when I was doing a bit of research for this, for some reason in my head, I thought the Creation Collective was twice the price that it actually is, which was pleasant to find out. I was like, really? Am I reading that wrong? So that was, for what you're getting for the money compared to other applications, I think the combination now, especially with the texturing and the instancing and more MoGraph-like controls within Modo, and there's some lovely examples currently up on the Foundry gallery, that I want to start to definitely switch back more to using Modo across a wider range of projects rather than just the still work, and using it more for animation. And Mari's already proven itself as it can benefit not just Modo but other applications as well. The other thing that would be good to see is more integration into web services, Amazon Web Services, and cloud rendering. And
so as a freelancer, you don't have a render farm at your disposal. Okay, I'll make a note. We need to look into that.
Thank you. But no, it's good to see that all the Foundry products have these real lightness of touch, which allows you to just get in and dirty with whatever you need to be working on, rather than the application getting in the way. And so having Modo, which I've been using for a while, and Nuke, which I want to get back into, especially now with Nuke Studio coming, knowing that my clients will benefit this and make them think that I'm a better artist than I actually am, just because I'm using the Foundry stuff.
Think they we'll try not to hold you back is more the question.
Yeah, but it's
cool.
Alarming about how many applications can hold you back. And
but I guess you have to use, but you need a lot of stuff. You need, and so I guess, and a little plug of ourselves, we do want to be able to work with the other stuff, because the reality is you're going to be working, in a group of a bunch of other people doing a lot of things.
No, and
so I'm glad we can connect with them.
Alembic, EXR, and everything going down to a base level. And that's what makes working with the Foundry stuff really great. And so yes, I want to use more of it.
We always love to hear that. Everyone in this room, right? So it's quite a lot of cool stuff. And I guess we'll hope to hear more from you before too long, and see you in the pages of 3D World and other places.
And currently there is the Modo 801 review in the new issue of 3D World and on creativeblock.com. So
check it out.
Check my opinion out about that.
Okay, round of applause for Mike. Okay, we are going to roll a very quick video. We're going to show Post Office's show reel for you while we just swap over speakers. Do get in touch with some questions with us. Hashtag is TF Sessions. Also, let us know where you are. We've got some people from which countries, Liz?
All around the UK.
Oh, fabulous. Even though the football's on tonight. No way! Hello, Brazil!
All around the US as well, Costa Rica, Germany.
Oh, fabulous!
The Netherlands and Spain.
Oh my God, that's awesome! That's awesome. Well, keep letting us know where you are. We're going to roll Post Office's show reel, and next up will be Boyo Frederick. So over to that. Oh gosh, we've just done a really big, quick beer grab while that was going on. So everyone's okay? Yes? Everyone okay? Okay. You're okay, boy. Okay. Do you need a drink? You sure? Okay. All right then. So next up is Boyo Frederick from Post Office Netherlands. Again, over to you, Matt Pleck.
So here we are. We're back on the Foundry sofa here with Boyo. We've got some, whole kind of a few different things that you're going to show us some really cool stuff. Probably the first thing we should do is find out a little bit about the post office.
Yeah. So we've been around for 28 years right now. So that's like longer than I've been alive. So that's a while. So sometimes I hear the stories of our CEO back in the day when like doing a dissolve was like high-end stuff. They had to send tapes to London to do it. Like insane to see the technology progresses.
Yeah, you guys,
really cool.
a lot of adaptation. I think when we were talking earlier, just the changes that you guys have gone through over that period of time from probably reel-to-reel tape to now, CG, VFX, high def, and what needs to get done in one day. There's no time to send tapes to London for a dissolve.
No. Now it has to be, you have to, you get a job, you have to finish it the same day. And it's totally different. So our visual effects department, it's like built up like this. Like I head up 3D, and one of the two Brahms heads up the 2D department, and the third Brahm, he's our visual effects supervisor. So you already see like a couple Foundry products in here that were used before we got the collective. So we always start with Hero. So the visual effects supervisor, he communicates with the client and the editor and gets the EDL and divides the shots up to Nuke and the Maya department. And then we all got a Hero player, so we all see the progress and going. And we use a bunch of more products than these, but like Maya, Mudbox, Topogun is like the core. And this is how it's gonna grow.
So even in the comp side, adding Mari and Moto with the production collective.
Yeah, it's really nice to see adding the same programs on both sides. So those two departments can work together even more. That's going to be great, I think.
Yeah, a little bit less of that, like, I don't have the program, I can't open that.
No, I don't have that file extension or something. So, but they're going to use it for different reasons, and that's also going to be interesting, So 3D side's going to use Mari for more like high def texturing, like really nice, and Compositor's going to use more projection stuff and those kind of things. And also Moto's going to be used on different ways, but we'll get to that later. And of course, our visual effects supervisor is really excited for Nuke Studio.
Where's John? Type faster, John.
Get it out there. And because then he can do more things with the client there. Like they have with the Flame. They have some more options when the client's there. That's going to be really cool. So this is
one of the jobs you worked on recently that we're going to spend a bit of time looking at tonight.
Yes, we finished this a couple weeks ago, and it's about the World Cup, so it's perfect timing, and it's going really nice, like virally online. This is like table soccer match between the Dutch and the Spanish, which was like the first match the Dutch and the Spanish played this World Cup, so it was really...
Did it work out to your satisfaction?
Yes. Both the animation and the actual match, So...
Should we have a look at that?
Yeah, let's check it out.
So the research on that one must have sucked. No, we're doing research.
We bought this little cheap table on eBay, and it's a kiddie's table, and it's all broken now. It's not built for grown-ups. But we had a lot of fun. And Yeah, so the basis is again Hero, like I showed in the previous slide. And for this, it's like a full CG movie. So we made a lot of previs in Maya first, and this first went to Avid. That's what we used to edit most of the time. And when we were happy about the edit, the EDL went to Hero. And that's where we divided all of the shots up. Our visual effects supervisor cuts all the shots, does the naming, and then it goes to Nuke and Maya, and they do their thing. And then versions keep coming out of Maya and Nuke. You know, it keeps getting better and better. And those versions go to Hero. And let me see. Yeah, so that gets added on a second layer, so we can compare, you know, the play blasts.
Make sure you're matching up with what the intent was, or where you're varying.
Yeah, so everybody has the Hero player installed, so everybody can see this progress day by day.
And you can check shot to shot.
Yeah, because sometimes when you see one shot, you can't you can't say, okay, this matches or this isn't good, because you have to see it in the whole clip, you know. And sometimes the color difference between one of the two shots is too much, but so you have to use,
depending on the lighting or something.
So you have to have this full clip and easy to see for everybody, and always update it. So that's what the Hero player is really good for.
Cool.
And then we create a new EDL with the VFX shots and get those into Scratch for color grading, and then Flame for finishing in the final bits. And and that's so we had one live action shot in there. So that was
at the tail end. Right.
So Nuke was like a major part of it.
Because it looks like it's all CG, but there was. It isn't,
no,
it
isn't. It isn't.
You guys got to get stuff done fast, so that's not necessarily an option.
We're like we do mostly commercials, so it's like speed is really important, but it also has to be very high end. So we have to get the most out of the 2D and the 3D department. So we have some clips about that, about our Nuke workflow. Oh no! This is first the Hero.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. So this is your other layer. Yep.
Excuse me, I forgot this.
So
one.
this is so you can compare here against your reference.
Yeah. So you see the play blast on the right. That's just our previs, and on the left you see the finished one. But this just kept on getting better. So you just put your first version in there, and every version you put in Hero, and everybody can see how it's going. Sometimes you have one shot that's still previs, and the rest is all.
But at least you got the flow of the thing.
Yeah, you feel the flow. You feel, okay, we need adjust the timing here. And you saw that the timing was off a bit from the final render and the play blast, the previs, because we also did some editing in Hero. Okay. We didn't go back to Avid, you know. We just thought it's just a couple of frames we did in Hero, and that's really nice to have. So you can
because you don't have to make that round trip back and a lot of exporting and everything.
It always takes time. So cool. That's the stuff. So we can go right ahead to the next clip of Nuke. So this is just one of the scripts. And you see this render coming out of Maya with all the passes. This is just the raw colors, and this is the lighting with all the white. And then we have reflection, refraction, all that stuff. But this one, the raw color and the lighting, that's going to come back a lot. So you see here we changed the saturation a bit of the chairs, and then add all this lighting reflection on top, and you have the image with less saturated chairs.
And you're doing this all with EXRs?
Yeah, it's all 32-bit EXRs, So we use EXRs and Alembics, that's like the files we use. And in the next clip, you're going to see this, this lighting pass getting used in this raw color, because we want to change the advertising boards. We want to have a couple of them, these 4, and want to have them change like during the play.
All right. So that's so you have keeping that all live in the comp.
Yeah. So not go back to 3D, because then you have to render. So we just get the OBJ file from Maya, and the camera from Maya, and we just texture them there. But then it's flat. There's no lighting on there. But you want to have that nice Maya lighting. So you use that pass that you just saw, the white one. I think it's gonna come up. Yeah, that one. To add this one, to add the lighting on top of your new billboards, and then they just match right in there.
Yep. So now it integrates.
Yeah, you got the shadows, you got everything going, and we exported a mask from Maya to mask them all out because they were in a kind of a frame. So this thing helps us out a lot, because then we go into Hero and we say, okay, we want to change the billboards to the next image. There we want to do this. There we want to do that.
Right. If they want to change the timing of it, or they don't like this one and they want to swap the artwork or
that's
the logos.
Great. We have clients there. That's great.
Cool. Yeah, and you can turn it around fast.
Yeah.
Cool.
Next one. So this one, we have 3 types of crowds, 3 techniques. So this one, we just went crazy in our green screen room, and we just filmed all of our colleagues in different clothings, and this just with a transform, we placed them on the right position, made a little gizmo to scale them, and then you just add them to your refraction layer, because that's what's seen through the glass.
Right. Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Yeah. And then you, on top of that, you add the reflection, and it feels like they're right in there.
Yeah.
And this is really, really fast.
Yeah. So you've got the rest of the scene applying like that. We came out of 3D applying in by separating out those layers.
And we did this in 2D because the skyboxes go around the entire stadium. So you have to. That's annoying to do in 3D. You have to do too much for this, you know. So.
Right, and they're kind of visible, so that's the kind of thing that the client might want to like pick someone out and say,
this one
I want to swap this guy or move him over.
When it's like a big crowd, you don't see the individual guys, but here you see individual people. So, but this is how we did the major crowds. This is our own crowd tool. It's Python based, and it's written in Maya, and it's all green screen shot footage. And we have different actions that can be called through just moving the sliders. We can do a wave, and we can do
sit quietly, stand and yell.
Yeah, but you can say, okay, how many percentage should stand? How many percent should cheer? How intense should they cheer? So we did different kinds of cheers, and you can record this really fast. It's just a couple of minutes per person, and you create a setup for your green screen keying, so you can get these out real fast.
Right.
And you see they're all pretty flat lit and pretty neutral color. And it's important for the next steps.
So by neutral, that's like a Dutch term of orange, is neutral.
Okay, neutral lighting.
Neutrally lit,
But just so you see it's like a sprite based, it's images.
Yeah, so it's all fast then.
Yeah.
You're not doing like full 3D complex shaders and everything.
No, we render 30,000 people in like just a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah. But we're thinking now, like it's all flat images, why do we go to Maya? So we're working now on porting this tool to Nuke.
Oh, cool.
Because that works great with images.
Right.
So.
Yep. Yeah, and then you've got it in the comp, so you can make those adjustments more live with the rest of the integration and all the rest of it.
Yep, use the point position pass to do relighting and stuff.
Cool.
So that's going to be the next version. And on the next slide, we see this crowd. This is rendered in Maya still, and then added here. But you see it's pretty flat and neutral lighting.
Yeah, so you don't need like a full ray traced render to turn these out.
No. Because we have these tricks, like a relighting tool we made. It's just some alpha magic. We made a couple of them red, not too many. You can see it here. This our relight pass also comes from Maya. You see they have a little white line on the side of them. That's where the lighting came from.
Okay.
And you can control this in the Maya tool. And you see here that it adds a lot of depth.
Right, so you've got the actual light from the shot kind of affecting that little pass that you can now use to control this.
Yeah, and you get this one where we saw on the billboards again, and this one will go on top of the crowd also.
Right, so to blend them in.
Yeah, that's why you do the neutral lighting, so they can get the lighting that's in the stadium. And they get this nice rim light, so then they fit in perfectly, and run so much faster than like getting all these 3D guys with rigs and with shaders. And for commercials, you've got to be fast. And there's some shadowing that gets added on top. Beneath.
Really cool.
Yeah. So
there's another part of the stadium.
So like half of it is crowds, and a third of the shot is grass. You know. So we have more Nuke power at post office than 3D power, like man-wise. So we thought like grass, you can do that with like fur or hair, those kind of things. But we want to have it fast and nice, and you don't get better than pictures. So especially for the still shots, you can just use a picture from the right angle with the right lens, and do that. But we also had moving cameras. So as you see here, this is just a local football pitch, like a block away from our building. We went there, and in the next slide, the next video, you can see how we use this to make an animated shot with pictures. So we did a projection of 6 pictures or 7 pictures, and we just took a picture and walked a couple meters back, took another picture and walked, and then projected it exactly the same. You see the green camera? That's the one from Maya.
Yeah. And
then you have
patch.
it's sharp everywhere. Sharp everywhere we go because you mask it out the pieces that get blurred.
Yeah.
And then in the next slide you see the final result. It's all sharp.
Right.
But you see how much of the screen is grass.
Yeah.
So and how much of the screen
There's been
is
been a lot of rendering.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and it's a lot of work that the Nuke guys, the 2D guys, take away from the 3D guys, so they can focus on the animation, on the lighting, and the rendering of the rest.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really good
those kind of hero CG objects.
yeah, that's
rather
good
than
to
the
do.
background.
So often you think like, okay, it's full CG, so it must be all done in Maya, but we like try to divide it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spread it out where you can be more efficient, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
that's the point.
Yeah. So this is
Yeah, this is the lines getting added on top. This is really just a plane with a texture. But what's nice here is we take this lighting pass, the white one that came back a couple of times, this one, and again we use this also for the grass and for these lines. So you get the shadows and the lighting on the grass that's exactly matches the
just
stadium.
pulls the whole shot
Yeah.
together, all these elements that were completely coming from different places.
Yeah, they all have the same balance of colors, the same lighting. So that's really nice. So you do these things in comp, but you light them indirectly with them.
With the real lighting.
Yeah, with the real lighting.
Yeah.
You're not gonna try to fake anything, and you have the shadows that match.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
It's really cool.
Yeah, and sometimes they add a little noise to make it the shadows when they come on the grass or the crowd. They add a little noise so it looks like it's grass.
Move it
and
around a
stuff.
little,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's not playing.
Just warp it a little here.
Yeah,
and there.
yeah. Just
Oh yeah,
these little tricks.
I think you mentioned earlier when we were chatting about some of the other things you added in, like the dust bits and things like that.
Yeah,
It's
sometimes
kinda
like
quick and easy.
close-ups when they kick the ball real hard. We just took some dust particles and stuff, and we warped the pictures to make it look like the grass was like blown in because of the wind, and that's just those little tricks, but they really
a lot
work.
faster to dial in the comp than to go back to 3D and like reanimate something.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't. You won't see it at first, but you feel it. So
Okay.
that's- Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
true.
if
Yeah,
it's
you're
not
looking at
there.
it, something's not quite right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Did we have one more?
I think we have one more clip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the intro. You see all the guys. You don't see them that good, but they are there.
Yeah.
And so this is the third way of doing crowds. We have just the transform method, and we have the crowd tool method, and this is the third one using the 3D system. So we got a rough mesh into Nuke of the stadium, and we got the camera. For every shot, we always get the camera.
Okay.
And just went crazy in our green screen studio again, just having fun, and just placed these on cards. And this again is way faster and easier than doing it in Maya. You know?
And that's what you were talking about with the feel. Like when this ball comes out, you're watching the ball and watching the center of the frame, and the rest of the stadium come into view. But if this stuff around the edges wasn't doing something about right,
it wouldn't feel that. Like a
Wouldn't
full stadium.
Yeah.
No. So that's some cool stuff, and
it's pretty quick and easy to set this sort of thing up.
yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
really easy, and just add another card. You just make it very big.
And if the client wants to change, like, I don't like that guy over here.
Yeah. You don't have to re-render, like a real
Go
Maya
back to
render
3D.
with lighting and stuff. You just do
Pop the
this.
card out.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about that. We're gremlins. Okay, Boyo. Thank you. Sorry, people outside. Boyo, back where you were.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just kind of wound up with the shots there, and then starting to think about where do you guys? At the beginning we were talking about you getting the production collectives out into other hands, and where does that take you?
Yeah, so Nuke we already had, Hero we already had, but Mari and Modos, those are the new things. So from on the Mari side, what we really love is like the non-destructive workflow, and I like the linking of the layers. We had this one shot where we had to make a texture that was like paint, like a little thing, like a little figurine you had to paint. And you can link all of the layers, like the diffuse layer and the bump layer and the glass layer, to make one stroke with your Wacom tablet that looked like paint, like with the thickness. And we went over it again. It added color and it added a bump map, but that bump map had some adjustment layers to make it look perfectly. And the glass also had some.
And it's all locked together, so you don't have to like redo this or copy things manually.
So you don't like get the diffuse layer and make it black and white and do some contrast like old school stuff. No, you really see what's happening in one stroke, and that's genius. And the procedurals and the masking capabilities, those are like for the 3D artists, those are great. And for the 2D, but also the 3D department, when we go to set, we always take pictures of the environment to get a virtual environment. We do like a photogrammetry shoot and plug it into Edgisoft, and we get the whole set. We use this to
use that for environment lighting and everything.
Yeah. So that's going to be, we used to do it with one HDR that was like projected on top. Now we get a lot finer detail to do multiple projections or painting.
Right.
Yeah.
You go clean up the things you get out of that, the textures and everything, and detail it up or add light effectively just by painting.
Yeah. Cool. And the 2D guys are going to use Mari for a lot of projection stuff. So you saw the grass being projected, and they're going to use Mari for that because it has a nice link with Nuke. And also for doing projections with pack shots. And that's
a lot of the business, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a lot of the business. And that's where Modo also comes in, because Modo is going to be hopefully easy to pick up by our compositors too. You know, the guys who don't want to do like full Maya stuff, but when we get a pack shot job, there has to be like a dedicated 3D artist who make this model
for like an hour.
Yeah, for like to make a cube or to make like a simple bottle. And we hope that like now we can skip that part of the pipeline, and a compositor can do that because it's so easy, and because he's in the whole flow of this project.
Yeah.
Now you get a new 3D guy, and you have to explain, okay, yeah, we're doing this and that, and it just takes time, and we don't have time. So I think that's going to be a nice cooperation with Mari and Modo. Yeah. And also the Retopo tools, because we use our 3D scanner a lot.
So you got those the kind of set reconstructions coming in.
Yeah. And then just take a photogrammetry thing or from a 3D scanner, just Retopo it in Modo and just project something in Mari and keep on going. Maybe you need the 3D guy for the lighting and the rendering, but
they can focus more on the complex 3D and the animation and
the
big complex CG pieces rather than a bottle or a box.
Yeah. 3D artists want to make stadiums and not back. So that's this is just
spoken like a true 3D artist.
This is just what was laying on our desks from the last couple of months, because this is the stuff that makes money, and the stadium stuff is that's fun. So, and this is an example. Maybe a lot of people from Europe will recognize this. This commercial has been running for 4 years in almost every country in Europe, and just always have to change the
labels on the labels, to the bottle again, huh?
So and now we have to get a dedicated 3D artist to do this, and we hope we can migrate this to just being a compositing shot.
Get it through quicker and get one person to be able to knock the whole thing out. Huh?
Yeah,
cool.
So that's kind of why we bought it, and it's just a little selection still, but we already had Nuke and Hero, so it was and we were just experimenting with Mari, so it was only natural thing just to go through them to upgrade it.
Cool. Well, I'm really appreciate that we've been able to get you and Mike here to kind of tell us about what you're doing and some of these cool little tricks, like all the little 2D crowd that's not really a whole complex 3D thing, but that ends up being complex and really selling the shots. We should probably now go to some questions if we've got some.
Yeah. So, Mike, do you want to run across?
Join us.
We're gonna fit.
Okay, so
squeeze off the side here.
Go to the shot.
We need a bigger sofa.
Shot of the sofa, please, Jordan. Gotta get that. So, guys, you're going to have to share a microphone. This is brilliant. Oh, I love it.
Oh, look at
this. Okay. So, Liz, we've had a few questions. So, do you want to?
Yes. Okay. So, somebody was interested in the average time that it would take for you on a job, like generally. What's your turnaround?
Oh, for me.
For both of you.
Why don't we, yeah,
you
do
can
both,
start,
yeah.
yeah.
Because you guys probably have a little bit of a different thing too, because this is running in a kind of post-ops environment versus freelancing around.
Yeah.
You probably do quite a variety.
In essence, the answer to that is you ask the client, when do you need it by? And then you kind of work back from there.
To negotiate what they can have.
Yeah. Which kind of will come before budget or anything else. For example, the National Trust job, the one that we were looking at earlier, that was 1 day turnaround.
Wow.
So, yeah, and you couldn't have done that in anything, in any other application other than Modo. It was just with the projection mapping, etc. But I'm available for jobs of any length.
And then with you guys at Post Office, it's what, a week, a month? What's the?
Yeah, it depends. Like all these pack shot things that you saw, that's just maximum a week. But
Really?
sometimes just a couple of days, especially when it's an adaptation of something we did previously. Then sometimes we deliver a commercial with 5 shots in 1 or 2 days because we have them. You just change the pack and change the label.
Right.
But all the stuff that's in our reel, the fun stuff, that's sometimes we work on something for 4 weeks, 5 weeks. That's I think that's for like the highest.
But it's fast.
Yeah, still hard.
No time to send tapes to London for a dissolve. Yeah.
We've also got a few people who are interested in your setup, like a computer setup, graphics cards.
Yeah, what kind of systems are you guys using these days?
Okay. Well, I'm work across Macs and Windows. Took the decision towards the end of last year to move all the 3D across to Windows, and that's worked out pretty well. But still keep a lot of the After Effects and compositing still on the Mac, just because the operating system handles files better. The other
Distractions out the
yeah,
window.
there's distractions outside.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
We've drawn a crowd.
So for the Modo and the Mari work, I'm running off a Windows box that I built myself, and the graphics card for running those Mari textures at 16K, that was a GTX 780 gaming card, and just with a 6-core 4930, I think. I don't know, it's just whatever was the best price at the time.
Yeah, so at Post Office, I'm the only one who uses Windows, or like my department, 3D department, and the setup is like with a Quadro 6000. That's our graphics card and all the workstations, and we have 24 gigs of RAM and I don't know, the best processor. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever they can get 'em to
yeah,
give you.
whatever there is. But the rest of the guys are just using Mac Pros, and our run of farms is Linux based.
So it's a whole mix.
Yeah, it's a whole mix, but they work together quite okay.
Okay. What else is there? There's a lot of love for that crowd tool that we just saw.
Cool, thank you.
Somebody's requested it in Nuke.
Ah.
If we can put it into Nuke, which we've. I've seen
Yeah.
it
Might be
to you
coming.
guys.
Yeah,
We
well,
could
we're
be-
working on this. This project gave us like a lot of lessons, and we learned so much from this, and we have great ideas for the next version. And yeah, everybody's gonna hear from that. in,
Yeah, it
when it
belongs
comes
in
out.
Nuke, doesn't it?
That's
Yeah.
true. Could be something for Nukepedia, possibly.
We have to twist their arms, probably.
There's also a lot of love for Mesh Fusion on Twitter. I guess there's a shout out to Raphael, who is the Italian in London, who's been tweeting at us a bit. He says that with 3ds Max, smoothed edges is on complex geometry is not very easy. Is Mesh Fusion easier?
Yes.
Fantastic. That's all we need. I think
Yeah.
that's all we need.
Yeah.
So Liz, where have we got people?
Okay, so we've got people from everywhere. Let's go. I'll do a big shout out now. We've got people from Argentina. We have them in our. I've got them in the World Cup. We've got Peru, Belgium, Portugal, Finland, Egypt. I think I said Costa Rica, Tunisia, Algeria, Sweden, the Ukraine, Mexico, Japan, Denmark, Greece, Ireland, India, Austria, Russia, Italy, Canada.
Now do it in alphabetical
Spain.
order.
I'll do it backwards alphabetically soon. I know it so well. And plenty from the UK and the US. So hello everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning
thank
in.
you.
Yeah,
it's just-
it's amazing. Does anyone have any questions here? I think our CFO does. He's
Yeah.
trying to get in. He's locked outside. You can't see him in the window. Okay. Well, round of applause to the guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. And the lovely Bex.
Also, round of applause to Matt Pleck as well.
Thanks. And the lovely Bex.
Oh, really? He
Yes,
really.
I
Yeah.
think Brad's got a crush on you. He says you're a gracious and natural host.
So awesome.
From the one and only Brad.
I
Beaver.
know. I know.
That
We
is
love
high
you,
praise.
Brad. We
Wow.
love you. Okay, so that's it for tonight's session. The next one will be on the 24th of July. It's going to be Modo in VFX. We will be posting this online in a couple of hours, I guess. If you are watching this online on the record, please do just ping us a note. You know, that hashtag is going to be live. It's now a current live hashtag for the rest of this year because we're going to be running lots and lots of sessions now until the end of this year. Keep your eyes peeled on the webpage as well, the foundry.co.uk/sessions for the list of when the next ones will be happening. And from that, go watch the football if you're
And
in
download
the
a
UK.
trial of.
Yes, do download trials. They are available online on the Collective's webpage. We've got 15-day free trials, so do have a play. Let us know how you're getting on with those. And I guess if you have got any questions, we can answer. We keep asking because we can answer that via the Twitter hashtag. So from us in London, it is good night. We're going to go off and have curry and beer now. So bye. Thank you. Bye.